Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Survival Multiplayer Minecraft. This is episode 14, and I begin in the spawn area with this gunpowder and sugarcane building, which Vad has completed in his latest episode. Now I think it looks fantastic, and if you want to see him build it, go check him out. It's definitely worth a watch. But I'm here because he has asked me to complete the interior, so I thought I would come along and quickly do it at the beginning of this episode. So let me go grab some materials because I came completely unprepared and we will roll along with it. Well, I'm actually really fond of this interior, so I'm going to keep it largely the same as before, with the exception of just filling in a few gaps here and there and making it look a little more structurally sound, as well as adding a ladder so I can actually access the second floor. So you can see I've just put these slabs there and filled in the rest of the roof, and that's about it. You know, good builds don't really need that much improving. So, I want to continue now to the main point of this episode, which is back at my base. But first, let me snatch some sugarcane and gunpowder, because I'm running out again. I have gotten really fond of the view of the base from this angle. I think the stuff we did last episode definitely does tie it all together and make it just stand out a little more and work together as a whole thing. This episode, I want to focus on the big open spot up there, finally, and fill it with something a little special, but first, I have to sleep. So, my plan for the top of this platform is to build the crown jewel of my base, the best of the best, my mansion. Because I'm currently living in a basement, and I don't really want to be stuck in that basement for the entire season, so I thought I'd treat myself, finally, to a mansion. Because, I mean, this is my base, I can do what I want, and it sounds like fun. I don't really have a direction for it. That's one reason I've been kind of putting it off, but I thought I'd start and stop putting it off anyways, just, you know, to have something to do. And I've done pretty much everything else here, so this is the last bit. But I want to start by building a staircase up here, because currently I have no way up except by flying. So I want to give my avatar a means of escape by building a staircase up, and then I want to plan out the layout of the mansion and see where that takes us. So, with the staircase and the adjoining path complete, I now want to build a basic foundation, so I can then explain sort of my idea behind this, which I've been developing while I built this. So here's the layout I've come up with for now. It's pretty straightforward, just a few buildings. I've got the centerpiece right here, where it's basically two floor sections with a pathway going through, and eventually this will be sort of an arch going above, and it will incorporate into the larger scale of this house. This is going to be the main house, this big rectangle here. Now these four smaller platforms are going to be little garden pedestals with their own individual roofs, and perhaps some flowers in it. So I'm going to continue to build up. Also, this is going to be two fireplaces, one on each end, just because it has a 2-block gap instead of a 3-block gap, so I thought I'd take advantage of that and put a fireplace in. A necessity, not a necessity, a luxury that only I get because, well, I'm the lord of this base, I'm the only one who lives here, so I get to decide. So I'm going to build this up a little bit further and come back with some more progress. So, as I was running back to the storage room to gather some more materials, I came across this guy and trapped him here. So, I'm going to name him Jeeves, and save him for some later project possibly, but he's going to stay there and he won't despawn now, so that's great. So hopefully this is a little better than my horrid explanation I did earlier. Here's what I meant by the archway, and then I will have two opposite-facing doors in order to cope with the center 2 gap. I'm also making the lower wall as tall as I can make it without it being awkward, just because I want this mansion to be as grand as possible, but without being too obtuse, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to continue to build up the sides, and once I've all finished that, I will come back again. I just realized saying that I don't want the mansion to be too obtuse makes absolutely no sense. What I meant to say is I don't want it to take up too much space that it crowds out everything else on the platform. So hopefully that makes a little more sense than saying I don't want it to be obtuse, because I don't know what I was thinking. I was struggling for words there. So here's the base structure complete. It's mirrored on the other side, so I don't really need to show you that. But my plan for this now is to add a roof onto this part with this clay middle section, obviously, which will go in this way. So it'll be going up like this and going down like that. So it'll go up, down, that way. And then the center part, I want to have a roof facing this way. So it'll go up and down like that. Just to give it a little shape. Much needed shape, mind you, because right now it's just a big rectangle. Doesn't really look too good on its own. So I'm going to quickly build one of the sections, and then you'll see kind of what I mean by that. So I got a little carried away with this and went ahead and built both. I know I promised I'd build one and come back, but I just was on a bit of a roll and didn't feel like recording. I also got a little bit distracted with something down here, so I'm just going to quickly go through my little shortcut, which we'll see in a second. Also, I built these platforms up, too, just as something to do. We'll get to those later on. But I built something that I should have built a long time ago, that I've been meaning to build, which is this room. I just got a little carried away, plus I needed some terracotta, so I came in here mining, and then I just started decorating, and here we are now. So I figure this is going to be sort of like a little greenhouse storage room, where we put all the barrels of fertilizer or dirt or something, or maybe store some water for some reason. So it'll just be convenient access for anyone who wants to use the greenhouse. And here I've got these iron doors, inside which I've dug this space out, and I intend this to sort of be a kind of laboratory, which will eventually connect to the houses and utilize the zombie spawner, which is down there in my mining area, hopefully. But I'm going to get to that a little later on. Right now, what I want to do is return again to the center section of my large house. So my plan for this center area is to extend the stone, the stone brick wall, there we go, up to about this point, where I will put a spruce cross member in order to kind of fill the gap here. And then I'm going to kind of make a stained clay wall here, which will extend a little bit over on each side of the roof, just so it's big enough to look livable and not just a random piece sticking out of the top of a otherwise large house. And then I'm going to have a roof just about at this level. So I'm going to now build some of that just to experiment. Nothing that I said here is definitely set in stone, because I'm still not entirely sure what the vision is. I'm just trying to articulate my thoughts here. So I'm going to come back after I've done a little more work. So I think this area fits rather nicely with the whole build. You can see it's kind of hanging over like I intended it to, so it doesn't just take up the middle space, it also takes up the side spaces as well. Oh, that was a lag spike. I've also made it a little bit taller so it differentiates itself from the sides of the house like this. And I've put that piece in one block just so it adds some depth and makes it not all flat and on the same plane. Since this is the center of the house, it's kind of a focal point. Just thought I'd make it a little different than the rest of it. So all there is to do now is to replicate it on all the sides. It'll be the same, except of course on the roof sides there won't be any windows because there's no room, and add a roof. So I'm going to quickly do that right now and come back to you. It turns out there actually is space for a window. And here we are with the exterior pretty much complete. I just need to add window panes now, but I'm going to do that a little later once I tackle the interior. I'm super happy with this, with the way it turned out. I think the tall windows definitely complemented a bit. I was a little unsure of them at first, but I think they are for the better. They give it kind of the premium vibe I was going for. And of course you have your chimneys that I added earlier, and the inset here, which goes all the way to the top, and I think it really ties the whole thing in, makes it look nice and special. Now what I want to do is I want to move on to these flower beds here, the large ones, and I'm going to kind of make them like a mini house, but minus the terracotta wall. So it's just going to be open here, maybe with a fence barrier. And then I will plant a bunch of flowers on the inside and make it look colorful and good, while it also fills the space nicely. So I'm going to build a couple of these and see how they look, and then come back to you then. I just realized none of these platforms are actually accessible. So let's make them accessible, like that. So here's what a completed one is looking like, and I'm more than happy with this. This turned out way better than I actually expected it to, which is fantastic because I had fairly low expectations for this. You know, sometimes things don't work out so well in the first try, but this seems to have worked out just fine. Now the next step, of course, is to add dirt in there and plant some flowers. I'll do that in the end. But right now I think it's looking pretty fantastic, so I'm going to replicate it to the other 4 ones and then add some color. I found a really interesting bug. If I go right to the edge of the block and place a slab on top of the slab, I can walk inside the slab. Now, that's not the best part. The best part is when I go into F5 mode. You can see I'm just standing here. I can walk around in the slab, and when I press crouch, I do not crouch. But I still exhibit the properties of crouching, because I can stand on the edge of here and not fall off. I'm pressing as hard as I can to fall off, but I can't. This is so weird. Now, oh, there we go. You can see as soon as I'm out of the block, I go right back to crouching. That is super weird, and weirdly repeatable. I'll do it again. See? That's super weird. Oh, and then I'm on top of the block now. Huh. Interesting. So, the splash of color has been added in the form of sugarcane. I added sugarcane here because it hasn't appeared anywhere else in my base, and I thought it would be a nice touch for the premium gardening gardens, I suppose. I've put waterlogged stairs here because they appear outside as the wall, so I can't just have water blocks here. And I've just put a water block in the center to support these other ones. I can't place any here, but that's just a sacrifice I'll have to make. That's no problem. I like the color. It's brighter, but it's not too bright, and it can kind of be excused by the presence of a roof, protecting it from the suns of the Badlands biome. I've also gone over here and put sunflowers in the one, just because I haven't had sunflowers on my base before, so I thought a splash of yellow would be nice in this circumstance. So that's pretty much it for these things. Now what I want to do is I want to move on to the interior of this and make sort of a floor plan to kind of lay out the different rooms and ideas for things. So I'm going to get to that right now. Well, I thought a flyby would be appropriate before I start the interior, so here we are on the Elytra, which in fact is almost broken, so I have to be careful. Yeah, I think this looks pretty nice from the air, the house and the gardens. They flow nicely within each other, and they fill the space adequately, so I'm super happy with these. Now, on to the interior finally. Here we are with the basic floor plan in place. I'm pretty happy with it. It's nice and open, but that's what I wanted. I'm not going to have too many room dividers. You can see here I've got a fireplace using regular fire, not campfires, because campfires spew smoke everywhere, big smoke particles, and I don't actually have anywhere for them to go, so they just kind of be filling up the room. So I'd rather this than that deadly alternative. Also got a closet underneath the stairs, which will be used for something that I'll outline later on. Everything is mirrored on that side. If we head upstairs, you can see I've got just a big open room. I don't think I'm going to add any dividers here. It'll be sort of like a living room. And down here it kind of dips down so I could match with the center window here and have enough room for the staircase, which will lead up to the third floor, which now I will clear out. These pillagers are so funny. I haven't hit them once. I'm trying to dispose of them using their own weapons, and it looks like it's working. Oh man. Oh no, we have casualties. Oh crap. Okay, let's use fire. That's probably going to work better. There we go. Here we are with the outline of the top room complete. I'm just lighting it up now. I think it looks pretty nice. This is going to be sort of the master bedroom with a random staircase in the middle, but that's the only place that it was plausible, so I'm just going to have to build around it, which is fine. Absolutely fine. This is a perfect room for a master bedroom. If you come down here, you can see I've kind of impeded on the space in here a little bit, so I've covered it up and given it a little design, and I think it fits okay. It's a little bit awkward with the size of the room, but I think it works out the best it does in this circumstance. Now, of course, it is time to furnish this building, so I'm going to quickly do that and then come right back. With the furnishings complete, it is now time for a tour, starting, of course, with the master bedroom. Where to start? I'll start with the bed. Okay, this bed's a little bit special. It doesn't seem actually usable, but if we open up the trapdoors here, you can see I've got my real bed inside, so it is usable. Also, this could also be one of those servant beds they used to have in medieval homes, where the servant would actually sleep in a little drawer underneath the master's bed, and I thought that would be a neat addition. Obviously, I wouldn't have any servants here. I'm a bit of a hermit myself. But yeah, that's a neat little touch, I think. Here's a big plush armchair with a little dip on the top. Some tables to do games and stuff on. I don't know if I have any of the fellow players over. I can host parties at this house and have appropriate accommodations. Yeah, I've got lighting on the ceiling. Nothing too special here, just some fences and lanterns. I've used lanterns throughout in the interior of this house because they're a little less brazen than just open torches. So moving down here, I haven't really done anything to this centerpiece. Just added some lanterns in the shelvings, so it obviously doesn't spawn mobs. It shouldn't, I'm pretty sure. Coming into this side, we've got a little bit of a kitchen/dining area with a smoker attached to the chimney. I thought I'd have some kind of realism here, so we wouldn't fill this thing up with smog if we tried to cook anything. But yeah, here we can cook here, and here's the matching carpet from downstairs. I thought I'd carry the color up from there, and of course here you can hang your cookware and do all the cutting of produce and meat you need to. Coming on to the other side, we've got a little more of a recreation room with a larger table and a painting, as well as a nice sofa. Of course, there are no TVs. This is sort of a medieval-esque build, so we're not quite there in the technological front yet. Okay, and coming downstairs, we've got a fancy mottled carpet. I'm able to do this because there's a more than one block gap between the room below. And yeah, got some barrels up here, another plush sofa, and then a fireplace, which I showed earlier, as well as the closet, which I also showed earlier. I'm getting forgetful. And over here it's pretty much the same except with some tables. So yeah, that's it. I'm pretty happy with it, and just in time for night as well. Sorry about that. I'm getting a little distracted because my cat wants attention. So I'm going to go give her some attention and then move on to our next thing. Okay, I've now dealt with my distracting cat. Usually I can pick her up and carry her around the house a few times and she'll settle right down and start washing herself. So yeah, I've done that, and now I am set to record again. So I want to bring us around down to my underground area where I have done a few more things. You can see I've filled in the ceiling here. I still have a little bit of a shortcut hole for when I want to travel from up there to down here. But yeah, everything else is filled in. I've also filled in the floor and the ceiling of this and added some actual lights instead of torches. I've also kept the terracotta walls just because I thought they looked pretty nice. They added some color, and it's less of a grind to remove them and replace them with something else. Plus, my pickaxe is almost broken and I don't feel like repairing it. Anyways, the main reason that I've come down here is to show you this bubble elevator that I've made. I'm pretty proud of this design. I just kind of was playing around before I decorated the house and came up with this two wide design, and I'm pretty proud of it. So you come up here, you got trapdoors separating the liquids, and then you fall down here, and it's much quicker than, say, if you put magma blocks down here and just glided down. And I think, yeah, this design is pretty effective, and I'm proud of it. You might be wondering, well, Kian, where is this design going to go? This design is going to go into the closets that I built earlier. You remember I talked about them twice because I got distracted the second time. But anyways, this upwards one is going to go into the blue side of the house, and this downwards one is going to connect to the red side of the house. So we'll have two-way travel in and out of the house. Now obviously this is pretty far back compared to the house. I think the house ends right about where this room starts. So I'm going to have some kind of transition room in between, which is perfectly fine. I can build that. However, I'm not going to do it this episode because I've run pretty much out of recording time. You see, this episode has been quite a while in the making. I've kind of been recording it off and on throughout a week because recording time has been kind of scarce. So I've kind of been, throwing things together as I go. Yeah, so I want to get this episode released as soon as possible, and for that reason, I'd like to end it here. So, I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic day, and see you next time.